I've been to many interviews, and I talk about work abolition. I talk about police abolition. But whenever I reach the part of abolishing family, the journalists always like pause a little bit and say like, Christo, it's everything okay with your mom? Now, yeah, it's absolutely fine with my mom. So I don't know why this question, why do they take it always to the anecdote?
See, what is this guy doing? This guy is a communist. And this guy is basically calling out conservatives and right-leaning people by saying, every time I bring up the idea of family abolition, they ask me if I have a good relationship with my parents, and they don't realize that that's not the point. He's calling you guys out for doing that, okay? Listen to what he is saying.
Christo, it's everything okay with your mom? Now, yeah, it's absolutely fine with my mom. So I don't know why this question, and I wanted to know, why is that a wrong question?
Thank you. I think this is very important. So I think there are two spirits that people ask about my family. To assume that there is something wrong with people committed to queer and trans liberation, the people committed to a free society, with people who want to envision better ways of living and loving together, that the family is not only a social norm, but also a psychological norm, and that anyone who rejects it, it must necessarily be a result of horrible trauma. Many people come to family abolition precisely out of a love of their family members and out of a belief that we all deserve something better than the isolation and violence.
Okay, so here's the argument. What they're saying is, everyone will receive greater levels of care if we abolish the nuclear family. It's not that we don't love our family. It's not that we don't love our parents. It's not that we don't love our kids. What these people believe is that violence and abuse takes place in the nuclear family at much higher levels than in any other social system, and therefore forcing people to the care that their family can provide them is literally inflicting violence and abuse and all that stuff on people, because that tends to take place within the nuclear family. They're saying flat out that this is not about having daddy issues. This is because we think that they are literally saying, ME O'Brien said this, and we'll listen again, everyone in our family will be better off if we abolish this social unit of the family, because if we abolish the social unit of the family, everyone will have access to greater levels of care and love and all that stuff. Listen to ME O'Brien again. We're going to go back.
I think you cited this briefly when we were chatting, but many people come to family abolition precisely out of a love of their family members and out of a belief that we all deserve something better than the isolation and violence and cruelty in many ways of the private household as a social form that we all have to depend on. The other spirit that people ask the question, usually in more radical contexts, is wanting to see if I have come up with a more radical, inspiring way of living that they could then adopt. And I share a little bit about my family. It's a non-traditional household arrangement. I'm very inspired by all the forms of queer families, non-traditional families, extended networks of care and support that are a very important part of queer and trans life, of Black American life, of migrant organizing and support, that people lacking the property and state support to form traditional families form, I think, better forms as they are able to, networks of care that take less traditional forms. And a lot of my interest is in transforming the material conditions of society that force people into private households, that make, in many ways, the traditional family a
when ME O'Brien says they want to transform the material conditions of society that force people into private households, when they say material conditions, they mean capitalism.